Steve, Michael, and Don, how you doing?
I love the segue from that inspiring story. Thanks.
Well, you know
That's
what?
great.
Because we wanted to bring in somebody that's totally the opposite of that.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to just start this off.
Off we go.
Yeah, thank you. Here we go. Tom Brady last week said, I want to play 10 more years. I believe he's 38. Is that possible?
No, can't play 10 more. But I always thought in my mind that, remember George Blanda did it to 45.
Right.
It's a different era. I get that. He kicked until he was 43 or 45. I think Warren Moon got into 42. I think if you were, and when I understand Tom is laser focused, every ounce of time, every minute of time is accounted for, every meal is accounted for, every element of his life is accounted for to make sure that he is doing exactly the things to stay in shape, to eat right, nutrition, health, wellness, all the stuff. And so if there's anybody that's going to take it the distance, it could be Tom. And if you can stay healthy, obviously. But I say 42, no matter what you do, 42, 43, the game is so fast and you lose. Just look at Peyton, what he's struggling with right now. It's like Peyton's still 95 of what he was. It's just, it doesn't take much. So no, 48's not possible. But 40, 42, 43, I think is possible. The problem that you run into is that the team starts to wear out. You're so old that no one relates, and they can't really, the team wants to move on. They're like, we need to change. We need to bring in a new quarterback. We need to.
But what if he keeps playing great?
It wears old players out. I mean, just the idea that I can't hear the speech again. I can't go to training camp again. So I know he's energized to do it. I know he's got the chip on his shoulder. He's an amazing guy. But I just don't believe that his interest will be the same in 2 or 3, 4 years. It's just that he can still be one of the guys right now. You get to a point where you literally feel awkward in the locker room. Like, what am I doing here? This is crazy.
Now, none of the Jet players or coaches want to talk about style points or playing in the game. But you as a fan and you watching the game, do you have a little bit more respect for what the Jets are based on how well and how they hung in with the Patriots yesterday, or no?
Exactly what we learned about the Jets on Monday night a month ago. When I prowl the sidelines, getting some of the feedback from the coaches, from the players, and I'm always looking for the locker room. I'm always looking like, what's this locker room look like? I came away from that game against the Indianapolis Colts thoroughly convinced that the Jets had a top 5 locker room built by leaders on both sides of the ball, young guys energized, the coaching staff had their attention. They had the players up front on both sides of the ball. They had the runners, they had the weapons, they had a top 10 defense at the time. I think it's moving in the top 5. So all of the elements in my mind came out of that game that this is a substantive team. This is not a team that's just going to fluff around. So I think you saw that yesterday. That was a substantive football team that couldn't pull it off. Get that. But you got a sense that if they keep building on what you saw yesterday, they can. And that'll be the interesting part of the rest of the season.
How much difference does a coach make? It just looks to me, Steve, like Dan Campbell's Dolphins are completely different than Joe Philbin's Dolphins. Is that an indictment of Joe Philbin?
Yes, and also an understanding of what football is really about. I mean, we've talked about this before. Newt Rockby's famous because he makes a great speech, and everybody gets energized, and then off they go and play great football. And so this can emotion carries football teams. You can do these kinds of things that get people motivated and go play great football for a little while. But I don't know that it lasts because he can only threaten and cajole and carry a big stick and tell the inspirational stories. Sooner or later, it becomes, in the NFL, especially college is a little different, but the NFL, you need somebody that really has a story that has legs. And I don't know I'm not saying he doesn't, but I'm saying you can have a burst of energy, but then there's going to be a waning that you're going to have to backfill with something a little more substantive than just kind of, cliches and yelling and screaming.
Steve, Greg Hardy yesterday, is that a emotional leader that just lost it, or is the guy just a jerk?
Look, I don't know him. I think there's history. Everyone knew him coming in was tender issue, and Jerry Jones announced him as he's a team leader. It seems chaotic to me to have a new guy, regardless of who it is, especially with some history and baggage in a difficult situation, to now declare them as the team leader as he berates people. You don't jump into if I'm not a special team player and they had a breakdown, they're going to go on a meeting. There's certain guys that can go in and have something to say, but you're not going to berate. You as another player cannot go berate other players.